Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. I want to show you what we did here with my son's bike. We upgraded him a bit, a great deal, new drivetrain. This bike is a 2018 Specialized pitch. It's a small frame. My son is 12 years old. He's going to be racing in the Nike Interscholastic mountain bike racing this year. So we did a little upgrade here. He actually broke the derailleur last week on the trail, the original derailleur, and that kind of sped up the job here. But I want to show you what we did. It was really not very difficult, and I want to show you what really makes it an easy transition to one buy. I guess just buy any bike, and what we did. So I'll show you what the bike came with. Again, it's a 2018, pretty entry level. It came with this the Shimano Tourney TX stuff you see there. This has the 8-speed shifter and brake lever combo. Same here with the front was the 3x lever combo. And what do we have? This was the derailleur, the original derailleur, Tourney XT or TX. You'll see here it actually broke. This is where it broke. The cage broke off of it. Luckily we had a chain tool on the trail with us, and we just shortened his chain and set him up single speed to get off the trail. So that kind of kicked off the build, was this thing breaking. This was the crank set that it came with. I guess it was some sort of Shimano. I'm not even sure about that. It was a 3x. You can see there. It was square taper crank. It is a threaded bottom bracket, so that was good. That made some things easy. So that was the old stuff. The new stuff that we went with. The first thing that I can tell you about is the SRAM NX crank set. This crank set you can get for about $105 for the crank and the chainring. The chainring comes with it. So this is a 32 tooth chainring, and it's a narrow wide, which is what you want when you're running a one buy. You want the narrow wide. It holds the chain on better. Again, I mentioned it's my son's bike. He's a little bit shorter, being 12 years old, so we went with the 165mm crank arm. That fits him better with his little bit shorter legs. But this went in really easy. We're using the Dub bottom bracket. I like the Dub bottom brackets. They're easy to work on. These cranks are easy to work on. You see the Dub bottom bracket. They're pretty easy to deal with. Unscrewed, took apart the old square taper, and the new Dub just screws right in. The Dub bottom bracket does come with some spacers that you can use depending on the width of your bottom bracket shell here on the frame, depending on the width of that, and depending on whether or not you have boost spacing on your wheels, which this one is not boost spacing. So I did not need the boost spacers, which go inside. But what I did need is the 1 4mm spacer that goes on the drive side outside the cup, but it goes on before you put the crank arm and chain ring on. But they have a chart on the SRAM website that can help you determine whether or not you need any spacers and which ones to use. So that was the SRAM NX crank set, and the Dub bottom bracket that we use to go with it. So that's a great setup, really easy. I'd imagine this will be an easy thing to do, even if you kept your 8x in the back and just wanted to simplify things in the front. Get rid of that 3x and slap this on there and run the 8-speed for a while if you wanted. But what we did, we went with originally a GX, a SRAM GX 10-speed shifter or derailleur and shifter. The shifter turned out good. You see there the GX. It turned out great. We used these Avid brake levers because we needed a lever that was by itself, because the shifter was by itself. They were individual, where the original stuff was all made together. So we needed new levers. I had these levers laying around the shop. It's just mechanical brakes, so there's not a whole lot for these levers to do. They just pull the cable, and they seem to work fine. They're cheaper, but they're simple. They're fairly clean looking, so that's what we used. But the SRAM GX shifter here, that's hooked to what is now a SRAM Apex. I had the SRAM GX 10-speed, but it seemed to have an issue. I don't know if it was a factory defect or what the problem was with it, but this screw here, they call it the B screw, your B adjustment, I think. It seemed to be misaligned, maybe from the factory. It didn't meet up with the little metal tab on the other side that it pushes against. When you screw this in, it was going alongside that metal tab and was causing some problems. It was not working. So I went up to my local bike shop, and they thought maybe it was a defect. We're not sure, but they had this Apex on the shelf, and they just swapped out with me and let me take the Apex. The Apex, you see them on, maybe more on gravel bikes, but I believe it is a step up from the GX a little bit, or if nothing else, it's no lesser than the GX. It's probably better. A couple things I do like about it is the jockey wheels are bigger around. I like that on both of those, and the cage length here on this derailleur is shorter than the GX, so it's a little more compact, but it's still long enough to handle the 42 tooth chain ring in the back. So we've got the Apex on here now. We started out with the GX. The GX would have been fine. The GX was a huge upgrade from what we had, but this Apex went right on and tuned up real nice. And so speaking of the gears that we went with, this is another big question that I had and a lot of folks have. So we did not change the wheel. The wheel is the same. So all we did was take the 8-speed cassette off and put on this Sunrace 10-speed. It's an 11 by 42 from Sunrace, and it fits right on, no problems, no issues. The package, let's see what Sunrace says. If you can see here, I don't know if that's very clear, but it's just a 10-speed 1142 Sunrace in black. The one in black has this red, kind of black and red contrast. You can kind of see the red shining through there, and the sun really liked that. You can see it back there. But it's a nice looking cassette. The rims, the hub, the rims factory, it's just what came on the bike. But that 10-speed took the place of the 8-speed, and it fit perfectly. There was no issues, nothing that needed to be changed or done. Just put this new cassette on. Worked great. We paired that with a SRAM 10-speed chain and got everything dialed in, tuned up, and the bike's running great. The bike looks great. It's simplified with the 1-by, which I really like. The gearing in the back, again, the 1142 with the 32 in the front is plenty gearing for him. I cleaned things up pretty good on the handlebars without those bulky factory shifters and brake combinations that came on at factory with the little gear indicators and all that stuff. So this stuff really cleans up a lot better. This looks good. It was really simple to do. The SRAM NX in the dub bottom bracket really made it an easy swap. Other than just tuning the derailleur, which wasn't that bad. That was, I guess, the more challenging part of it. But the one by up here, as far as the crankset goes, was super easy to do. I'd recommend it to anyone. This works out good for us. I think we're going to be ready for the race season. This will be his first season racing, and he's definitely a little more prepared with this setup than that low-end factory stuff this bike came with. So that's what I got. It works really well. Excited about it. If you have any questions, just hit me up at the bottom. I usually do pretty good about answering questions. So if you have any, let me know. Thanks.